May the 4th, 2024. As you're looking at this morning's solar wind speed and some other information from the chart, and we are now looking at about 636 kilometers per second, and very fast. We had peaked last night at about 1,940,000 miles per hour. See this section right in here? We were bumping up into the 800s. 873, I think, was the peak that I read. And at 873, again, you're at 1.96, I think it is. We'll check that and make sure. Well over 1.9 million miles per hour. So that's when you get to 900, guys, you might as well say you're at 2 million miles per hour. Okay, but again, 1.96 is nothing to laugh about. And everything showed that. Right now, again, it appears, if you just looked at the chart without looking at these numbers over here, that it's lower, but it is not. We're still in the 600s, 634 there. And notice right here in just the last few minutes, we had two things happen. The shields had been open for the duration of about 15 minutes. See that purple area right here? Then it jumped back up, closed right there for just a minute or two. Now it's back open, very far open at the last. We have a -8 and a +8. Notice to the left where I'm holding this cursor. That means there's 16 points difference in this opening. Now, when the shields closed a few minutes ago, guys, it shut it down from 638 to 618. That was the low point, and that is 1,382,000 plus miles per hour. But when it peaked last night, I'll show you this. 873, if you convert it, is 1.952, 845 million miles per hour. Again, so at that 900 on the top chart, guys, you're cranking at 2 million. But there's very few people that could visual or even contemplate 1.9 million miles per hour. Think about that. I can't. Now, guys, the big sunspot 4079 that we're watching is still holding back. It has not fired any kind of major shot. There's just been a small crackling of flares, but nothing major. So keep your fingers crossed on this one, keeping on rotating to the right and getting on the back side before it releases, because it's very large and it could be very strong. And guys, this morning when I woke up, my ears were ringing. I was dizzy. It makes it tough to function, and many of you understand that. Now, looking at it from the SDO on this filter, you can easily see where that sunspot is right there. It's almost dead center, but remember, if you draw a line across the equator of the sun, the Earth is a little below that as far as we're not directly in the ecliptic, and you can see that on some of the other models. But notice the concentric bands almost of these filaments going out under it, around it. And that could be a push out of the energy because the sunspot's so big, and you can see in looking at some of the other images how it's growing. Now it's starting to kind of stabilize in size, but it's still magnetically configured, opposite polarities that will cause strong flares, even X flares. Now, looking at solar flare chart, technically the GOES 16 X-ray flux chart, not much activity in the last 3 days. We do see a slight uptick, guys, right here in the C flares. Then your yellows, your M flares, get into red is your X. But I have seen this pattern of uptick keep rising, then blow a stronger flare and get back down. And if the flares are active, you'll see that repeat. But right now, nothing big is happening. We do have some solar wind coming in from the smaller coronal holes that we were looking at yesterday, and that's why our solar wind is elevated. Still in a G1 magnetic storm. See right there? It was not predicted to be that strong today. As a matter of fact, they still haven't changed their predictions. Now, the prediction for today was saying that it was not going to be a G1 magnetic storm, a G0. Same on the 5th and same on May the 6th, right there. But we are in a G1, but this does indicate a decline in the solar wind speed, which should help some of the dizziness, headaches, ear ringing, etc. Now, guys, let's take a look at our shields themselves. This will run up into the last frame this morning. And what you're looking at in the gray circle here is kind of our inner shields. The Earth itself is in the black and white dot. The white side indicates the sun-facing side. You can tell from where the sun's energy is coming from. Now, this particular, you've got two screens here. This one is if you flew straight above the Earth, straight north, and then look down, and you could see all of this energy happening. This one would be if you flew to the left of the Earth, like the left shoulder looking at the sun. It gives you two different angles. And this one is pointed down, the one that would be cut from the left, because the Earth is below the ecliptic of the sun. And when the energy of the sun's coming down, you can see that angle of the Earth tilted. And again, this is your cut view from the left side. This is the top side view. You'll see the blues get darker as I play this forward. Notice the scale at the top, 0.0 to 4.0. This is density of plasma in centimeters cubed. So the deeper the blue gets, the stronger it gets. Let's play this thing forward. You'll start to see the energy coming in. Look how quickly, guys, last night coming into today that this was. Look how quickly it got into the deep blues. Very interesting. Now, again, this is the top cut. This is the left side cut. See the angle here? That's because this the Earth is tilted a little bit, but also it's below the ecliptic of the sun, so the solar wind creates a different angle. Now, the dangerous part about what you're looking at, of course, the darker the blue, the stronger the surge is. But at this cut on the right, these dark blue areas that go into the Earth's lower atmosphere here, when they get really blue, they're called cusp, C-U-S-P. They're not there now, but watch as it rotates back through the cycle. That's breaks in our shield where that energy is pouring straight into us. Again, C-U-S-P, look it up. And that's in a part of our shields. Look how much poured in at that point. Amazing. But when you got this high solar wind, that's what happens. The dizziness, everything. You don't have to have a G4 magnetic storm like we did back in April. But for this to occur. But that G4, I think it left a mark on everyone on the planet that feels this. But again, look at that. Watch the energy start pouring in. You notice your timestamp up here. Right in there. That's one of the stronger points. Just both edges are completely bent down and open. CERN has been running very strong, by the way. We'll take a look at that. The same angles here. This is the above. This is from the left side. Play this forward. You can see your red line out here. It'll increase. This is your kind of your bow shock. This is the outer sections of our shield. Check that out. It's red. You've got more intensity coming in. Right in 1321, we saw it almost stop, and that allows the shields to push back out. That has to do with the way the plasmasphere works. It's in a symbiotic relationship, guys, with our planet, and it can sense incoming solar wind, and it will expand the plasma in the shields out here to protect the Earth before it gets here. It's amazing how God created this planet. Here, you don't have that much energy pouring in, but and look at how it eases up. And as it builds back up, you can see here even the cusp right there start to open up and let the energy into us and make it a little rougher on us. Now, let's look at the solar wind speed. We looked at the pressure. Let me play this forward. Everything's the same. Top look, pull that down. Side look here. Notice the angle. Energy's here. Now, a lot of times this won't be red. You see these color variations here down to blue, green right in here. We see that when on calm days. Right now, we're up in you see the high points right here. That's where we're at. Check that out. Now, you can see the energy hit and compress the atmosphere. That's when you'll see quakes, whether it's a minor or major quake. You'll see heat getting in through these openings I call cusp, and the volcano and lava activity increase. And if you look at it very close, it doesn't show the cusp quite as well. But right in here, you'll notice when these yellow areas start to dive in, this is from the solar wind again, that's when the cusps are occurring, or the breaks in the shields themselves. But very seldom are we getting back into anything in the green or the blue, except in the blowout in the cooler plasma on the tail end of this. You'll see it coming up here in just a moment. It's already done its job. Again, this is just the tail blow off here. You see a little bit of the green and blue there. It's kind of slowed down. The Earth's blocking it, and the solar wind speed is down. Check that out. But it's high right now, guys. I wanted to point that out, and I want to take a quick look at CERN while we're here. Now, this is live this morning. Notice your timestamp up here. They are at universal time. They are about 5 hours ahead of the East Coast, I think. But they're located right on the Franco-Swiss border, CERN is. And you can see overnight they were getting very high, up above 6,500 GeV each. That would be 6.6, it looks like, tera electron volts. And what they want, though, they want the red beam, the blue beam together up here. And when they do that, this power line will stay very steady at the top. That gives them the energy that they want. Now, again, live, you can tell there's no beams anywhere in here. What you're seeing on the side, again, this would be your elevation and windage where this was set up. I'm pretty sure is they haven't turned off the cryogenics. They haven't shut down everything. They just are not injecting beams at this time. Everything's still hot and basically ready. And I looked at this earlier, and all the cryogenic units were intact and green. We'll check that now. And they are all green. And you see just a couple of variations here. Each one of these sections, CMITR1 or CSITR1, they're individual. They don't look like it, but if this one were to go out, it would turn red right there. And it would be a different color. You can see different color lines all through this steady line. Each one of these sections has a color line, like a spaghetti model, right? And until they just made a change, I talked about it. They got it to where it didn't get as hot, new coatings on some of the plates and things like that, to where it didn't run hot so easily. And I knew at that point, and I talked about in that video, they were going to be able to exceed 65 because they could continue pushing the power. You do see a couple of variations. But normally, guys, last year when they were doing this would look like a sine wave of different colored patterns, because all of these half of them would go red when something would go down, and they would have to drop the beams like they have now. But this is staying ready. That's telling you that new coating worked. Now here also live is the beam setup page. No beam. It says here in their comments today that the next will be the field for physics with 4 bunches per beam. So they're getting ready. Let's see, GPS issue, access needed, no beam for at least 2 hours. Now this message is about an hour old. Notice it's 1616, but we're at 1717 right here. So about an hour ago. So in about an hour would be when the next beams kick in. I'll kind of keep an eye on that also, guys. But I wanted to come in here and kind of give you an idea of the space weather this morning, because it kind of gets to be a battle. You got things you need to do, especially when they're outside. And you can tell the difference when you go out there. You fight it, but you're kind of torn between not getting much done, except possibly on the inside where you're still affected, not just as much, but in the direct sunlight, I think it is worse. Anyway, guys, I'm watching this. There's other things happening. California, there may be some good things happening in your state, because you have a political cancer that needs to be completely cut off. And there's people, Rick Greenwald is one of them, that is leading a new voter registration in California. And he's finding out that about 40% of the people is all that votes, and a lot of them are conservative, but they feel like their vote doesn't count because the votes, well, let's just say cheating goes on. So they just see that they're overwhelmed in their districts. But right now, Greenwell and other people are out there registering people to vote and getting ready for the elections coming up for the governors and congressmen and senators. And this is the first time this has really happened. And people are donating a lot of money. I think Trump raised $3 million. Melania raised $1 million in her little deal for this group. And Rick Greenwell, he's up in there with Trump, and I don't think he's really been appointed. He's kind of a floating member. I don't know about his appointments, but right now he's running this setup to get people out to vote. And there's a psychology behind signing or registering new voters. That makes them want to go out and vote that year. They're registered, they're ready to go, they're energized, they're excited about seeing changes. So California, really keep your eye on that and make sure you're registered to vote, no matter if you think it's going to count or not, because there was a lot of shenanigans going on this last time, but it was too big to rig. And unlike the last time when it was too rigged to win, well, California, you're too rigged to win now, but things are changing. You got the California wildfire where they drag their feet there, and we don't know exactly why people were out of town, like the mayor and everything. They like to run and hide before they drop a big incident. You ever notice that? Anyway, you got to get out. If you can get involved in helping sign up new voters, do it. California is a beautiful state. I was there before it got too libtarded back in the 80s in the Huntington Beach area. I was in actually a class for Panasonic at that time. Anyway, it was beautiful. You could I remember sitting on the beach at Huntington Beach at night, and on the back deck of a little restaurant or grill or whatever it was, I don't remember. And it's the first time I ever saw the outdoor heaters out there, because you got the constant cool Pacific winds coming off. Anyway, it was beautiful. Now, at that time, I will admit, I was in a hotel over by, it was in Buena Park called I think it was Buena Vista Hotel. And China had that back in the 80s. We talk about the ports and everything like that. And I think we were seeing the footsteps start to arrive. And I don't know how, California's always had Chinatown in San Francisco and all that. But I really started to see the major economic hold then. And now it had, until these tariffs set in, had really gotten out of control. And they had taken over the Panama Canal too. Anyway, guys, we're watching it. Don't forget, California, you take care of business this time. Let's get these governors and Pelosi and that bunch and just keep naming them, demon after demon. And I still wonder why the demons are magnetically drawn to different locations like D.C. and California and all the major cities. California, to me, I think part of it is that you can get away with a lot of things unless you are a hard-working taxpayer. And people are attracted to that. You got homeless cities. You got wide-open borders down there until now. And you got politicians that push everything that will destroy your state. So you got to get them out of there. We're watching it. You watch it, guys. It's a heads up. Be safe.